Hi, welcome again. So we will start the next section with Yasmeen Lari. Yasmeen Lari is the first woman architect and among the best known architects of Pakistan. She graduated from Oxford School of Architect, now Oxford Brookes University, and was elected member of RIBA in '69, and is considered among pioneers of brutalism architecture. She retired from architecture practice in 2000. She is an UNESCO consultant and has been published among 16 women who have contributed the most toward UNESCO objectives. President of Pakistan has awarded her the Star of Distinction in 2006 and the Crescent of Distinction in 2014. In 2016, Japan awarded her the Highland Acclamation Fukuoka Prize for Asian Art and Culture. Since headquartered 2005, she has devised several programs for post-disaster communities, heritage and tradition for rehabilitation and development, build back safer with vernacular methodology, and woman-centric community-based disaster risk management. Yasmeen, are you listening to us?
Yes, I'm listening. Hello, Philippa, but I can't start my presentation somehow. But let's see. It seems that you have disabled me. I can't put my presentation up. I'm going to try again.
Yeah.
Uh, oh, let's see. Yeah, it seems to be now somehow. Let me see where I am now in this.
Wait a little bit.
Wait a little bit. I'm sorry. I don't seem to be able to see what I
No,
have.
it's okay. It's okay.
Let me see now where we are in this whole thing. Well, we'll have to start again a little bit, I think. Let's see. Well, let me start and we'll see how we can come
It's
along with
starting
this.
now. We are
Uh,
seeing your PowerPoint.
we can start, yes. So, hello, everybody, and greetings from
Can
Pakistan. Can
Yasmeen,
you hear
can
me?
you put in full screen, please?
How do I do full screen, Philippa?
And down you have a button.
Uh, why don't I have the full screen?
But it's
Where I've
okay.
got
We can see it like that. It's okay. No problem.
Well, I don't know where my buttons are. You see, this after office hours. I don't have anybody to help me with this. I'm a little bit lost.
No, but it's
Yeah, is that okay for you?
yeah,
Um,
it's okay. We can see like that.
yeah, let me see if I can just enlarge it, but I can't really. I don't know where it is that I can do it. Uh, no, no, it's not working. So, okay, can you see me though then?
Yes,
No.
yes,
Yeah.
we are. Yes, we are seeing and watch.
Okay, let me see if I can just enlarge it in this way. Is that helping a
No,
little bit?
it's
Yeah, is
okay
that
like
helping a
that.
little?
Don't worry. You
So,
can talk.
and how do I stop share? It says, but where's my sharing? Why can't I see my sharing? That's my problem right now. Um, uh, let's see where we are with this. Yeah, there we are. Share. Can you get it or no? Still haven't got it. I'm so
Hi,
sorry, but
hi,
I don't
Yasmin.
know
This
it.
is Tiago.
I
It's
go
perfect. You can
hello.
see everything. In the bottom of the screen, next to the
Yes.
zoom, you have that icon that is for the presentation mode. Down a little bit, down to the
Yeah, I have
left.
it says stop share. It doesn't say start something. You are screen
Not in
sharing,
the
it says.
not in
Yeah, it
Zoom,
says
No,
but
no,
in
in
PowerPoint.
the PowerPoint.
ah, oh, in the PowerPoint. I go in the
Yeah,
PowerPoint. And what do I do
On
there?
the
Sorry.
on
on
the
the
bottom right,
Yeah.
next to the zoom, the plus sign and the minus sign. That
yeah
one, yeah.
that
You
one.
can click that one.
That's the one. Oh, you wanted to have it fully. Is that?
Perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Yasmin.
But we in this, I can't see it, and I have to see what I'm showing you. So let's just give me a moment and let's try to sort it out as to what do I do with this. Um, Sorry, let me just go back. Yeah, okay, fine. Good. All right, I think we're there now. All right. But I can't see my own screen. So that's a bit of a problem because if I don't see it, I won't be able to talk about it. Just a moment. Give me just one moment more, and I think maybe we can just Yeah, yeah, I don't, is that okay now? Is that, can you see everything now? Hello? I've lost you, I can't hear you. Hello? I can't hear you folks.
Can you hear me now? Sorry, Yasmin.
Yeah, now I can hear you. Yes, that's fine now. Good, great.
For us,
I
it's
can hear.
perfect. We can perfectly see the presentation.
Okay, very good. All right then. So greetings from Pakistan, and thank you, Diego and Philippa, for inviting me to this very important discourse that has been organized to highlight alternate low-tech ways of construction to respond to climate change threat. Obviously, all of us around the world, whether in the highly consumptive and eco-wasteful societies of the global north or the highly disadvantaged populations in the global south, where I come from, are equally affected by high degrees of carbon emissions. Today, all sensitive built environment designers are seeking a direction of change in the way we design and build. Architects, being the leaders in the field, carry greater responsibility than any other to transform mindsets to deal with the challenges of 21st century. In this endeavor, for the last decade and a half, I have been designing with least impact materials and low-tech techniques. The barefoot approaches that cause least harm to the people and the planet, and ones that resonate with people's aspirations. This is also important that they relate to them. Of course, half a century ago, it was giants such as architect John Turner with his seminal book, Housing by People. I'm sure that you read it, promoting self-help construction, and economist Fritz Schumacher with his remarkable Small is Beautiful publication that fostered the use of minimal technology driven by morality and ethics. And also social critic Ivan Illich, highlighting environmental damage caused by industrialization, all visionaries who identified ways to save human values and foster dignity of humankind and environmental conservation. But in the intervening period, we had all been swept away by the charm of machines and high-tech products, enamored as we were by modern architecture and creation of iconic structures, until confronted by climate change and speedy depletion of Earth's resources, the prophecies of these gurus could no longer be ignored. And that's where we are today now. We know that today's world is ravaged by rising poverty levels and increased disparities. Other challenges include climate change impact, resulting in recurring disasters, displacement of large populations due to natural hazards and human-made conflicts, exploding urban centers, and proliferation of informal settlements, refugee and climate migrant camps, along with increasing homelessness in cities, all needing the attention of built environment professionals and a paradigm shift in the way we conceive and we build. In my view, to deal with such challenging times, we need to democratize and humanize architecture that is inclusive and is driven by environmental considerations. One that treads lightly on the planet, at the same time, responds to the needs of vulnerable populations with emphasis on women's needs. They are normally forgotten. To achieve such objectives, we would need to turn away from high-tech, energy-consumptive methodologies that are highly damaging to the planet, as we all know, or at least I think most of us should know by now. Instead, in my view, there is an urgent need to devise low-tech and low-impact mechanisms for construction, which would allow people themselves to take charge of their habitat along with control over their own resources. I understand that everybody can do it, but I think majority of the populations that are really, really marginalized, I think that may be the only solution for them. So the title, as you see, of my presentation is Co-Creation for a Humanistic World that I believe in, Low Impact Methodologies for Saving the Planet. I think that's the way to go if we really want to do bring some benefit to the Earth. If we wish to reverse the tide and save the planet from further misuse, I suggest that the time has come to seek solutions found in countries in the global South. Maybe all of you should start looking at us as well, such as Pakistan, which has rich traditions based on a diversity of tangible and intangible heritage, solutions that are based on local wisdoms and vernacular techniques to fashion an equitable world, which is driven by both social and ecological justice. A little bit maybe about my organization and also a little bit about heritage of Pakistan. So let's see, I'm sorry, but I can't seem to move it. I don't know what, yeah, okay. So this is the Heritage Foundation of Pakistan. Just to show you what it does. It was co-founded with my late husband, Yasmeen Lari, who was an eminent historian and an author, due to which I could be engaged with heritage safeguarding and conservation from 1980 onwards. At the same time, my work with heritage and vernacular traditions helped me to devise strategy for the poor of the country. On the left, you see the amazing 16th century monument. This is the tomb of Sultan Ibrahim that Heritage Foundation had conserved at Makli World Heritage Site. Now, this is the largest Muslim necropolis in the world, where the monuments present 400 years of really the diverse styles of architecture. On the right is the reconstructed zero carbon earth masonry structure, one of thousands of structures that we have helped to build after countrywide floods in 2010. It's a not-for-profit social and cultural entrepreneur organization established for safeguarding Pakistan's cultural heritage. But since 2005, it provides humanitarian assistance by linking heritage for innovative, socially and ecologically led initiatives. Now, if you look at this slide, I've got three segments for you: tangible heritage, intangible, and then vernacular heritage. So Pakistan is custodian of diverse heritage ranging from a rich collection and tangible heritage that begins with Bronze Age World Heritage Mohenjo-daro, Hindu, Buddhist, and Sikh remains during the centuries preceding 14th century Sultanate period sites such as the Makli World Heritage, 16th century Mughal forts and palaces and paradisal gardens, and a shared heritage of the British colonial period because we were colonized for 150 years of 19th and early 20th centuries, all lending a diversity to our cultural legacy that is not found in many countries. We really have this so many different styles and so many different sort of ages and rules that we've got different kinds of architecture in each one of them. Now, the intangible heritage has also shaped the lives of our people that is all pervading and includes Sufi traditions and spiritualism, folklore and folk traditions, oral history and diverse crafts, many still being practiced by rural women that have been passed on to them from generation to generation. It still exists. And then the vernacular heritage, from where I have learned the use of sustainable materials, local sourcing, ease of handling, economical in use, and one that is based on age-old local wisdoms. Now, in the aftermath of COVID-19 pandemic, Me Too and Black Lives Matter movements in most countries in the global north, the fault line in urban planning and design approaches based on high-tech methodologies have become evident. We know that many of the solutions that were very popular at one time are not really working. The global south, on the other hand, has added challenges due to an exorbitant increase in its population living below the poverty line. In most LDCs, that the least developed countries, due to lack of good governance and high corruption levels, marginalized sections are likely to continue to subsist without access to social justice or rights-based development. And this is the tragedy of it all. There are millions of people who don't have access to this. So in no particular order, I thought I'll just list a few challenges that we face today, ranging from, of course, climate change, unprecedented recurrence of disasters, uncontrolled greenhouse gas emissions, rising poverty levels, and increasing disparities. Unchecked population growth, along with the struggle to overcome the imperatives of COVID-19. As a result, there are estimated to be over 3 billion people around the world who require shelter and other basic facilities for survival. This vast population remains underserved or unserved, because I'm afraid professionals are not looking at them as if they really matter. So they have no help whatsoever. And this vast population remains, nobody is attending to them. Most of these, of course, belong to South Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. Thus, in my view, the democratization of architecture and utilizing participatory approaches using locally sourced materials have become paramount. So there's a building that I designed in the 1980s, and it's the largest oil company in Pakistan, this piece of BASA house. It is ironic that even though belonging to industrially developing world, Only after I had brought to a close my career as a star architect for 36 years, recurring disasters in Pakistan from 2005 forced my attention towards the vast marginalized sections in my country. I just wanted to show you that most architects are still indulging to design this kind of building that I did in the 1980s. And there we have, this is a barefoot person, a little young boy. Because of widespread deficits and deprivations, particularly among women, for me, the pursuit for justice has been paramount. And one reason why I decided to design the stratagem called Barefoot Social Architecture, or BASA, for the disadvantaged, I felt empathy with those who walk barefoot and had become my fellow travelers. While the notion of being barefoot may be strange for many living in more affluent societies, for me, barefoot is a common sight in our rural areas. This demonstrates the harshness of life, but it has its benefits also. You are able to tread softly on earth and grow up using planet's resources with great care. It reminds us that all of us have to learn to use the earth's resources judiciously. So what is BASA? BASA is akin to social engineering for bringing about social change, incorporating environmental, cultural, and technical dimensions, resulting in transformation of mindset from a cycle of dependency to a culture of pride and self-reliance. On the one hand, BASA seeks to democratize architecture that provides people with well-being and self-esteem. On the other, it unashamedly promotes zero carbon footprint structures using ubiquitous earth that all over the world, conservative magic line, and renewable bamboo. That is something that's not normally considered, but I think must be taken up seriously by all those who care about the planet. So just wanted to share with you the benefits that can be accrued with this kind of work. When we implemented BASA, we were able to benefit something like
Yasmeen, I'm sorry to interrupt. Maybe you have some papers scratching in the microphone. It's
Oh, I'm
making a
so
little
sorry.
bit of interference.
Right, I'll take care of that.
Thank you. Much better. Thank you.
Thank you, Diego. Is that better? Okay. All right then. So this is about 0.84 million people in 7 years. There were over 100,000 that were actually, served in this manner through our zero carbon rights-based development. And these are all self-built endeavors using low-tech methodologies, and it aims to achieve 12 out of 17 SDGs or Sustainable Development Goals at a very, very low cost, I might just also say. So working with marginalized communities for the last several years has allowed me to adopt a bottoms-up approach, encouraging efficient use of funds and resources and rights-based development and knowledge sharing through training and guidance for cost-effective output. This in turn has stimulated the barefoot ecosystem in order to foster a life of reasonable fulfillment through an enabling process of serving and sharing with the other disadvantaged people. What we want to do, or what I'm trying to do and have been successful to some degree, is to see how poor people can make products that are useful for other poor people. So they don't try to market anything to the rich, but really among themselves. And we find that they can actually rise above poverty through this whole process. And so I just thought I'll just share with you the different tenets of BASA. And those who are familiar with my work probably know that BASA relies on 4 tenets. There's maximizing the potential of existing barefoot ecosystem. That's the first one. And applying 3 zeros. That is a zero cost to the donor, zero carbon, and zero waste methodologies leading to zero poverty. Finally, that is the bottom line. We've got to make sure somehow that we achieve poverty reduction in everything that we do. And then number 2 is focus on social and ecological justice through humanistic architecture, fostering pride, dignity, and well-being, and preventing depletion of the planet's resources. Now, that's also important, that whatever we do when we build, we are really mindful of what we are doing to the planet. And thirdly, delivery of unmet needs. There's so many needs that are not met for the poor at all because nobody really bothers. And so we've devised something called the Barefoot Incubator for social good and environmental sustainability, for training in self-building and co-building, and affordable products for unmet needs of BOP, which is bottom of the pyramid. So it helps people who are who have nothing and are really much below the poverty line, that can be helped through this process, through training, and by lifting them up from a state of apathy. And then fourthly, low-tech, low-impact, non-engineered structures for shrinking the ecological footprint in construction, using green skills and sustainable, locally sourced materials. So now let's see, let's look at tenet 1. This is maximizing the barefoot ecosystem. So among the reasons for BASA outreach have been the maximization of the barefoot ecosystem, which is vast. In many countries, it consists of over 70% of the population. And somehow we've ignored it. We don't somehow give any credence to that, because economists don't think it's important and political governments don't think it's important, but really those are the people that we have to get to, and they can really, if we empower them, they can do so much themselves that they don't need charity. So just to say, there are different segments to it. There's the barefoot economy, there's the barefoot market, there is the barefoot enterprises, then there's barefoot entrepreneurs, there are the barefoot skills, and then there are barefoot products. So there are just so many of these segments which can be done very, very low cost, and they can all be done so that everybody helps each other. So to achieve these objectives, I follow 2 gurus, which I wanted to share with you. The first one, of course, is Hassan Fatahi, the Earth Guru. He's the author of Architecture for the Poor, who taught me the value of engaging the poor to unleash their creativity, because they are very, very creative. They have so much reserve of really creative sort of activities that I cannot begin to even tell you. And then, of course, the second one that the master, the guru, that is the ancient Roman, Marcus Vitruvius, from whom I learned the use of lime, as well as the importance of air, water, earth, and fire, 4 elements, the alchemy of which leads us to democratic norms and behavior. And I think we have to go beyond just what we build. We have to see how it impacts people, because every bit of design that you do, it has an impact and must have an impact in lifting people out of their, whatever their state of gloom might be. So it's important that we think about that when we are designing. And then this is my palette, which is I would like to sort of introduce it to you, the 3 materials that I've used for more than a decade now. And this is to achieve carbon neutral structures, right? And in this slide, you can see the attributes of such materials. So you can see how good is earth, and then lime, and then bamboo. They're just amazing materials to use, and I would really recommend them to architects to please try them out, because I think you will find that it's very, very, very interesting to start these, they're kind of new ways of looking at old materials. And there are just so many things that you can do with them at a very, very low cost. So then we come to the tenet number 2, which is focused on social and ecological justice through humanistic architecture. And I just wanted to show you a few slides on this, that the work that I've been doing. And if you see on the left, we have, what we find, the vernacular construction by country, which is really traditional mud and thatch kind of building. And then on the right, you see how I have sought inspiration from that and improved it in many ways in terms of making them safe, and build something different, but very much, drawn from whatever was there. So there's the bamboo and thatch roof, and which is anchored very securely. The lime stabilized mud walls are there. There's locally sourced materials. It's very economical in construction, and the form is based, as I said, on age-old, whatever methodologies there are. So this next one is I call improved vernacular. This is on the left, you see the cross bracing of Pakistan North that was actually in wood. Now my innovation on the right that you see is to use bamboo to create strong and resilient structures. And I find that by making these, and I've used it now so much, the cross bracing in bamboo, and it is so strong that it can really withstand floods and earthquakes and all kinds of things. And so any kind of disaster, because everything that I design today, it has to be really resistant to any kind of floods and earthquakes and strong winds. Because as you might know, floods really are something like over 50% of disasters really are floods. So we have to really focus as to how we can save people by just building safe, really safe construction. Also, I think it's important that everybody should learn to build really in a manner that will not be destroyed by these foreseen disasters. There may be some unforeseen. Sometimes the intensity might be very great and we can't do anything, but most of the time it's not so bad. And we can actually work on that. And these are the materials that will give you the resilience that you need. And they're all natural, and they're all very, very low cost. So I wanted to also show you this is my women's center that I don't know, maybe some of you might have seen it. And here we see that, I'm sorry, but let me see if I can start my, this is an Al Jazeera video. And this is, how when you put building on stilts, even if you get flooding every year, the main structure remains safe. And this is what's needed really for people to have refuge in such areas. So this is a zero carbon center, and as you can see, it has survived. This was built actually in something like, I think 2010 actually, it was 11, and so it's really lasted pretty well in all these days. And now let's come to this, which is the tenet 3, which is delivery of unmet needs through Barefoot Incubator. Now, this is a place where we teach or we train everybody as to how they can build with the green kind of skills and also locally sourced materials in a safe manner. And the incubator does also trains in how do you have income generating activities, which are again based on low cost or really no waste kind of materials. So if you see now, there are examples how we deliver. So I'll just run through these slides. This, for instance, is the zero carbon safe one-room house. And these are the primary needs, I feel: the shelter and the toilet. And they're simple bamboo prefab panel structures, which I'll explain later in more detail, which are then finished with earth, stabilized with lime renders, and decorated to express pride and identity, because you can see that they decorate them themselves. So this shows how much they take pride in whatever they have built, but they've really built it themselves also. And this is very, very safe and very, very strong. And and this is the Pakistan Chula stove, cooking stove, which has won this World Habitat Award of 2018. And it has many different attributes, but the best is that it doesn't get, of course, washed away during floods, but also it has raised the dignity of women, because now they are no longer crouching on the floor, but they're actually sitting up straight, and they're serving their family, and it becomes a social place. It's just an earthen platform. It's very, very inexpensive, and it's all self-built. So there's a lot of value in just looking at these things and seeing how we can use simple materials to reach out to the general public. And this is again a stove on the left, and on the right you see a picture, where the president of Pakistan is giving the award, the World Habitat Award, to Champa, who's our icon, who's built something like, I don't know, something like 35,000 of these stoves, or helped to build. And today she earns 25 times what she used to earn 5 years ago, or over 600 euros per month, as compared to 25 euros she earned earlier. So this is the beauty of the scaling up with the Barefoot system, or with the Barefoot ecosystem, because there are just so many of them. And if there's affordable products, if they are safe and good products, they will invest into that. And the field is just enormous, and everybody can become a millionaire who provides any of these, like shelter or toilets, or the stoves and everything else. So this is the way. This is just a few slides to show you how we train in all kinds of activities, which has to do with income generation. And these are really communities that are, I call them, they're mendicant communities. They used to be beggars on this very important site, which is I showed you, the World Heritage Site of Makli, which has lots of shrines. So they were all beggars, and now all women, and everybody is now learning, and they are now earning their own money through the various trainings that we do. So we've made quite a bit of progress in this. All right, so now we come to tenet number 4, which is non-engineered structures for shrinking the ecological footprint. So I just wanted to share with you the actual, the damage that's being caused with the present day construction, the way we are building. You can see these are UNEP figures. 40% of world energy is used, 16% of water and waste and all kinds of things. So we need to be really looking at it. Why are we building this way any longer? We should not, because we cannot reach that 1.5 degrees Celsius rise, wherever in a few years, 2030, I think it is, if we continue to build in the way that we do. So all of us must be very mindful of all this, as to how, what on earth is happening. And then I just wanted to show you, this is the international models. on the left are about 150,000 rupees, which would be, gosh, I can't convert into, but I mean, when we build it, something like 1/5 of this kind of cost. It's burnt brick and steel girders and all kinds of urbanized models, which are pretty, they're not at all relevant to the situations. And this is really like the Western charity model mode, where international and other organizations destroy initiatives of target communities by treating them as victims who must subsist on handouts. And the models they give are so outrageously expensive and totally inappropriate, then obviously the costs are very, very high. So this colonial mindset among non-state actors such as international and national aid agencies, as well as state institutions, promotes a culture of dependency rather than fostering empowerment and self-reliance. And on the right, you see the slide which shows how much destruction goes on when you actually just fire bricks. How many acres you destroy of just forest land. So we should be careful as to we do that. And then this is it's a zero carbon non-engineered construction, which I thought I'd show you. Now let's see. Why am I not getting it? Yeah, this is on the left, of course, is the house that we built. Of something like 45,000 of these have been built. And sorry, let's see. So from 2012 to 2014, we were technical partners of IOM. And this is the world's largest zero carbon shelter program. As you can see, there were no carbon emissions and so on. There's just so many good things about this that, we really did not do any damage to the planet at all with all this. So, and then let's go to the other one. This is a similar kind of house. Again, this is just earth masonry walls with lime stabilized, earth stabilized lime plaster, and the roof is all bamboo. And as I said, this is part of the 40,000 that were built. And then similarly, it's the same design, but you can see that every one is different because every one is then decorated in a different manner. And this is where the beauty of these materials come in, where people feel empowered to be able to do it. They cannot do this with concrete blocks or with burnt brick. So we have to understand the value of this kind of work. And this is something that's now becoming very popular. It's been built from now almost in so many different parts of the world. It's Israeli, and I'll just show you, it's a very simple technique of prefabricated bamboo panels. And what basically you do is you take these pieces and you put in the cross bracing, and you make eight of these panels that you put together. And the roof is like an umbrella that also fits in it. This is also prefabricated, and you finish it off with thatch on the roof or whatever you want, and so on and so forth. And then the same thing can be expanded. If you add on 2 more, it becomes a classroom. The same panel technique goes on. And then similarly, if you add on a few more, then it becomes a kind of a little village center or a women's center with a veranda. It's all just bamboo, and now we can make domes with bamboo. So it's all done on site. I mean, it's just done by really very low skilled people. And then this is something called the Interpower Center that we built in Makli. And so, sorry, where am I? Now this, I just want to show you how the modules can fit together with each other. And then you can just, you can make much larger centers, and you can put in any number of these together. And the same system that goes on, which is very, very easy to fabricate. And you can do it under supervision, so you know that the quality will be fine. And this is how we train people to do these things. This is the same system of prefab panels. This is my ZC3 or Zero Carbon Center, which is our training place as well. And we hold international conferences here as well. This again is all bamboo. And it's quite a huge structure actually, and the largest one of bamboo structure in Pakistan. And we use it as a training place. So there are lots of people who are working and making things. This is for their livelihoods. And similarly, when you have international conferences, this was held in 2019. We had something like 30 delegates from abroad. We had another, I don't know, 100 or so from Pakistan, and we held it all in this particular place, and it worked pretty well. So you can see, and it's a very airy, open space. It's really very simply done, and it is airy, and it really climatically, it's very, very appropriate. I just thought I'll show you that we're doing something with a urban situation as well, again, using the same panels, and we can do incremental housing. So there are lots of possibilities, even at the lowest level. But I mean, if there were architects who are, really the star architects, if they use bamboo, they could do something spectacular. But my work is really with the poor. So I'm trying to see the lowest possible cost construction. And it is about the 2019 conference when we had these foreign delegates who really then worked in the mud brick and lime and everything. And it was quite interesting that, it was all done. And then, so I thought I'll just now also show you how we are promoting the work by making these video tutorials. They are on the YouTube. And because today the levels of homelessness and poverty in almost all countries are now alarmingly high. So in Pakistan alone, at least over 1 million impoverished households are without primary facilities of safe water, shelter, sanitation, or clean cooking arrangement. I mean, there's nothing there for them. So as we do not have any expectation from government or from UN and other donor agencies whose siloed Western charity model in any case is not sustainable nor acceptable, I believe, I decided that as architect for the poorest of the poor, I'm honor bound to provide easy access to technical guidance to the marginalized for building safe DRR compliant structures themselves, that people are able to do it themselves. They don't wait for anybody. And for this reason, my colleagues and I at Heritage Foundation of Pakistan have worked hard to develop over 24 video tutorials teaching green skills and zero carbon construction. It's all about that. These are open source graphically illustrated videos and have been uploaded on YouTube, the Zero Carbon channel that's after my name, to enable even non-literate households to take up affordable construction using locally sourced sustainable materials. So it's step by step, so you can watch it and they can do it. And then many households have begun to build by watching step-by-step instructions on their cell phones. In addition, we have begun physical and virtual trainings and monitoring programs for artisans. So it's very good when they do something, they send pictures to us and we monitor them and tell them what's wrong, how can they fix it, and so on and so forth. And if they have any difficulties, they also approach us. So it's like everything is really being done online. And I think this COVID-19 has taught us that it's perfectly okay to interact with people through Zoom and not be physically present. And I think we need to take advantage of that to get down to those people who normally we are not able to get to. And I think this is what's happening. So once they become trained, they become barefoot entrepreneurs who spread the expertise and themselves begin to earn substantial incomes, as in the case of Pakistan Chula that I showed you, and the barefoot entrepreneur Champa, who's now become a millionaire. And then I just wanted to show you this log. This is an urban log. This is by architects, and there are some very eminent architects standing there in Islamabad, which was done by about, lots of volunteers who were learning about it. So there were lots of students and architects who, together built these two units. And they have, as you can see, it's different from the rural log, although it's the same construction technique, but there are, of course, variations in terms of finishing and so on and so forth. So this is the beauty of it. You use the same system, but it can be made applicable by addition of whatever is available around wherever you are building. So I'm very pleased that this happened, because the architects normally don't like to work with these things, and there were many architects who joined hands in this. So, and then I wanted to just show you that on the left is the scale model that was built at Milano, at the Politecnico di Milano, where the students actually have worked on bamboo and lots of my other kind of buildings that I'd built. And in the middle, you see the self-building by a poor community in really a far out area in Pakistan. And the third is, of course, French architect who's working in Malawi and for an orphanage. So the application, you can see, is spreading, and it's doing pretty well. So this is now, sort of going on in that sense. So now we have found that by, oh, sorry, I think that maybe there's one more slide that I would like to show you. This is our training program for our rural areas, and you'll see how even women are taking part in this, and they're all rural women who are not really even literate, but they are able to work and learn and do these things. And all of these really are non-literate people, but they're the ones who need the most this kind of housing, and they're learning to do this, and they've gone back and they've started to build. And this is what I want to do somehow, is to reach out to everybody that wants to do it. And it should be inexpensive enough or affordable enough that they can do it themselves, so that they don't look for any funding or anything from anybody else and are able to entirely do it themselves. So they're, this is all drawing upon vernacular traditions, and we can, people can be trained, we can see, we have seen that, and so on. So the self-building and co-creation, sorry, let me just go on. So the self-building and co-creation techniques that are being imparted through our video tutorials are enabling the vast majority who usually have no access to technical and financial assistance to build their own housing that is safe and climate resilient. Thus, in order to reach the majority of the disadvantaged populations, application of BASA, or Barefoot Social Architecture principles, is essential, which through easily applicable low-tech techniques low-tech techniques helping the poorest of the poor to rise above the vicious circle of poverty and dependency. So just my last slide to say, use the 3 zeros I would recommend for saving the planet and the destitute, and through co-building and so on, and use low tech, low impact kind of methodologies. And I think we can get there. Thank you very much for your patience. I'm most grateful. Let me see if I can get out of it now. Is that okay now? Sorry, why am I not able to get, sorry, how do I
Thank
get
you,
out
Yasmeen.
of
I
it?
think we can shut down the screen share, maybe. To be easier.
I'm trying to do that, but is that okay?
Perfect.
Okay,
It's done,
thank
yeah.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yasmeen,
Okay.
for the great
Yeah, okay.
presentation. Now we will move for some questions from the audience. I don't know if someone
Yeah,
wants to ask something.
okay,
Any doubts
sure.
on mud, bamboo, lime?
I can't see
Shy.
your audience at all, so I don't know who are there. How do I see your audience?
Maybe the producers can do it. We have not
Okay,
too
right,
many
all
people
right.
because of COVID, of course, but we have some people
Of course,
here.
no, you have to be very careful. Yeah, all right, fair enough. Yes, that's fine. Okay, hello.
So, well, if no one asks questions, I'll start with a question. Well, of course, for me, it's clear that the BASA methodology works, and you can see the results in your presentation. It's really amazing, especially in these poor communities. My question may be a little bit provocative. How do you see the future generations or the kids and the grandkids of these persons that are being impacted by these constructions? Do you think this will be enough for them, or do you think they will have other expectations regarding their houses, and how can we prepare them to deal with it so they don't decide to give up of the strategy? I'm telling you this because speaking with Hans Drexler, that will be with us tomorrow, he told me about the important thing that in Europe, especially in developed countries, as long as we get cheaper energy, the people waste more energy because it's so cheap, and we have a positive CO2 balance. So there is a danger to promote excessive consumption. So have you think of this? How do you see maybe not a solution, but how do you prepare future generations to keep this responsible use of resources?
Yeah, well, of course, first of all, thank you for that question. It's quite a complex question, huh? And I think
Sorry.
we'll have to see how I answer this. First of all, as far as my context is concerned, and the people that I'm working with, they have nothing right now. Okay, they have just nothing. They have just not even a roof over their heads. And for women particularly, it's a horrible situation. And so I feel I have this rights-based development model. I feel that everybody must have a safe shelter, even though it may be one room, that they have to have toilet, they must have toilets, they must have water, and they must have a clean cooking place, which is like the Pakistan Chula. Now, once they have that, then they become productive, because right now they are not productive, because if you don't have security of being where you are, I mean, tomorrow a flood comes in and they all get washed away. They don't know where they will be. So first of all, we have to provide security of being able to just stay where they are. And that can only come with construction. So the first thing is this, and then you will be surprised how they start bettering themselves. Then they want to be able to earn more. but they have a very long way to go. So I don't think they'll be wasting anything. And what is amazing that when I first started, and particularly in 2010, and I've been working with a lot of international communities, and they always told me, but Yasmeen, nobody wants to have a mud house, an earth house. Everybody wants a pakka house. You know what a pakka is, which is like made out of concrete block or burnt brick. And they said they will never accept it. And you saw that little picture where I said 40,000 houses and everybody standing on the roof. Because what I did was, whenever we completed one, we told people, well, why don't you climb on the roof? And the first time they climbed, I think they were sold. And they said, fine, this is okay for us. Nobody wanted to go back to concrete, And that is the amazing change of mindset that you are seeing, that I'm seeing. And everybody who's built it, and because first they thought earth will not last, but with lime is an amazing material that architects somehow are not using. We must use it more instead of cement. And the lime stabilized earth just resists any kind of water seepage. So they've learned all this, and everybody can start building safely. Then they will feel more secure. Then they will become more productive. Then they will not be just wasting. I mean, right now we think rural areas are no good because nobody is there to do anything. But they have nothing there. So how can they be productive? So we have to really work with them. Now, I'm afraid I don't believe in this philosophy that if you do something good for people, that they will start misusing it. I don't think it's fair to do that. I found people that when you tell them, they can be very, very responsible, but you have to keep on telling them what is the right way to do things. And we don't normally do that. And unless you give good things to people, they will never know how to use them properly. So I'm all for giving the best to people, whatever state one might be.
Yeah,
I would beg to
you.
disagree with, with your speaking.
We're here for this, for the discussion. Questions?
In the room? Someone?
No. People are still shy.
I can do one. I watched a TED Talk, and you said that Dubai or New York will no longer be the urbanistic future. How do you imagine the future of the big cities? With less concrete? How do you imagine that?
I mean, if you compare the American city, you mean? Are you talking about the American city? Yes? Well, Jane Jacobs, I don't know how many decades ago, wrote about eyes on the street and how destructive the way of building of the way of planning was. And I was just recently in California with my son, and I find that the whole planning and the way things are done is so. I mean, I think it's so surrealistic for me, because it's got nothing to do with reality of what's happening today. I mean, there's just nothing but concrete everywhere. The roads have taken over. Humans have no life whatsoever, because cars and vehicles have taken over the place. So where there should be plants and there should be kind of, terracotta or permeable pavements, there's just concrete everywhere. So there's just, I mean, the heat islands that are emerging there, like any other city also in my country, in Karachi, there are urban heat islands because we're using so much of concrete. So I think that, there's a huge movement about how do you make, eco-urbanism is a huge movement today, and we have to spread it. Because unless we do that, and I did not show the example of my eco-enclave in Karachi, which has become very popular, because in about 400 feet stretch, there's something like 4 forests, Miyawaki style, with something like 600 trees. And that just changed the whole environment. There's no concrete. It's called the zero carbon street. This is the media has dubbed it that, because there's just no concrete there, no steel whatsoever. It's all permeable pavements, sponge pavements, aquifer wells, so the flooding doesn't take place, urban heat doesn't happen there, and so on. So there are lots of solutions we can do with the present situation and try to see that we humanize the environment. And after COVID-19, we have to make open spaces really, really livable for people, for humans, not for cars and not for vehicles. So I'm all for changing the whole pattern of the American city. I don't think it's the right way to go in the future at all. And the same is true for multi-story buildings also. I think we have to stop building in such a high. I mean, we need to go in for high, let's say medium density and low rise developments, not these high rise developments. But again, you have to think about energy and what we are doing with the environment. So we have to rethink everything that we are doing as architects and as urban planners, must be done.
Thank you.
Perfect. Any questions? No?
No?
So we are actually on time for the next conference. So Yasmeen,
Okay.
we would like
Okay,
to thank
good.
you very much
Thank you
for
very much.
being with us from Pakistan and to be available to share with us, with everyone. Your work is really amazing. Thank you a lot, Yasmeen. It was a pleasure to be with you. We hope to meet you in the future again.
Thank you for inviting me, and I hope all of you will come to Pakistan. That's why I showed you the heritage, okay? So,
Thank you. Thank you.
okay, thank
Goodbye,
you so
Yasmeen.
much,
Thank you.
Thank you.
everybody. Goodbye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye then.
Bye.
Keep safe.